Shannon, you want to brag about your team?
Woo.
Well, I would love to because they're phenomenal, and I haven't even wanted to beat them with a shoe yet at all, not even once. But I'm actually quickly typing up some stuff, so I'm going to pass this over to one of them to talk about the cool stuff we found yesterday.
You're going to have to back up some. You're going to run out of tether. But not that quickly.
I'm going to open up your sonars.
Okay, so if it ends up being Angela or Ashley, give our viewers a bit of an introduction into yourselves, what your research is, and...
Turns out we've got some camera shyness, or, I don't know, microphone shyness over here. Can you get back to us in a few minutes and I'll talk?
Yes. You should beat them with a shoe.
We're all friends here. Well, we've got a lot more hours for you to join in, so.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Until SPL, yeah, until you join SPL.
Okay, we've got about 100 meters left to go. 90 meters left to go down.
And Nav said bearing was 10.
Roger.
How do I get back to full polar?
Oh, it should be in the button thing.
Yeah, I did sector width.
No, it's not in sector width. Display mode.
Thanks.
I've always wanted to learn how to read the bars. Wow, that is a narrow sector width.
I can't, Miles, I can't see anything in there.
Working on it.
Think about your laser focus.
I've got Doppler lock.
Yeah, so basically we
Just
need to
turn.
climb that hill whenever we start to
Right.
see it in sonar.
I'm starting to turn as well.
Okay. It's basically, it's
The top of that mound.
it's not a very big mound, is it? Like 10 meters, 5 meters?
Yeah, 5-10 meters.
So how far have we transited from our original dive target this morning? Our first waypoint?
I'm sorry, I'm
No
assuming
worries.
that was directed to me.
Nav's busy navving.
Yep, that's important. Continue navving, Nav.
$50 meters off bottom. Is that what question that somebody wrote in?
It was, Greg.
Do you have proof?
Yeah, hold on. Give me 2 seconds to type it in.
You want to know how far we are from descent?
From our original descent this morning at
Okay.
Well, at least 2,800 meters.
Did you put like a Fitbit on Herc?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah. They're real
It doesn't
similar.
have a touch screen, but
They're real similar.
Awesome.
We
we don't have it mounted on the wrist.
708 meters.
Mm. So what was the at
There
least?
you go.
Roger.
So, it's at 135-ish from Margus.
Okay.
yeah, on Seaprints though.
Okay,
Boom.
I'm
Look
10
at that.
meters off the bottom approximately.
Bring my heading around a little bit. I can see bottom behind you.
Yeah, it looks like I'm facing downhill. That's my problem here.
I don't know. You've got that. I think that's what we're looking for, right?
What's going on?
Unless the Argus sonar head is mounted backwards again.
We would blame Trevor for that, right?
Yeah.
No, it's
Okay.
down.
Okay. Bottom's just uninteresting in this direction.
Yeah, I think it's right behind you. There is that. I don't know what that is. That's right in front of you. You have tether. You could probably just run out and
Yeah.
check that out real quick. Real quick, full beans.
Giving it the beans. I don't see it on my sonar. It's not on
yeah,
my
just
meso.
check those rocks. I think that they're
Oh,
just
yeah, yeah.
rocks.
They are just rocks. Roger. Just rocks. Okay.
Yeah, might as well. There's a ridge behind you.
Yep. Gotcha.
That's 20. Well, that ridge is 60 meters away from me, the one that's in Argus.
Oh, weird. Okay.
And you have something that's 1, 2, what,
Kinda,
40?
but that's pretty, that's
I
like
think
a
that's the
not
same
very
thing.
steep rise.
Yeah, but I think they're the same thing.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, they're definitely the same thing. Nav, do you think that's our feature? The yellow in Argus?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we're like 60 meters away from it. About probably 125.
Really?
That's interesting. But
What
certainly couldn't be anything else.
That's definitely a feature.
Yeah.
What about this pile of rocks right in front of me right now? So we're at 2877 now at the bottom.
Okay, there is a giant cliff to our east about 60 meters away. That
Okay.
is not what we want.
It's not what we want.
So then this is what
The
you want.
giant cliff that is ringing out in
Okay.
Argus sonar is not what we want.
This is what we want.
This is what we want. Which
Well, then,
makes sense because then we're on
Good,
target.
good placement.
Yes. I like when that happens.
Gabby, I'm going to come up some so you can fly right underneath me.
Sounds good.
Guys, thank you. If we can sort of see along the length of this and closer to the top, that'd be wonderful.
Roger.
These rocks aren't really that biofouled, but they do have some substantial,
There's probably some critters living on them.
yeah.
All right, so the reason why we wanted to come check this out was because it was a tall linear mound that followed the general shape of extension for the area. So we thought there was a chance that we could have had a fault open up here that was allowing hot fluids to come out and build up this fairly isolated piece right here. What we're seeing instead is that it looks like it let some lava squeeze out, and we've got these really nice pillows instead, a bunch of which are broken, some of which you can see are nice and large. But so far we're not seeing anything at all that would indicate that this actually had a hot water origin.
It is a really cool feature, though. So why, so the other day we went to a site that was, because we thought there might be venting there, and it turned out there was venting there. How did you pick that one? It was like the two ridges.
So the one that we looked at yesterday that we actually were right about, we had a similar sort of geometry to the sea cliffs area. And what we were looking for were small anomalies in the bathymetric data. Things where there was, say, a ridge that was pointing the wrong direction or something like that. So based off of the bathymetric data, this actually seemed like it was an even more probable hit than the other one because it's even more wrong, I suppose you could say. This one stands out much more than the other one did. So that's why we were pretty hopeful about what we'd be able to find at this one. Then again, it's also much further away from the other one. So part of what our interest was is that it would, if it was hot water caused, it would be a much different sort of feature and tell us a much broader story than what we were looking at before, which has more in common with the sea cliffs.
Cool. What's that? Closer to what? Yes. Tippy top. It's a pretty wild feature.
What's that Christmas tree thing over there?
Christmas
Or
tree.
spindly thing,
Oh, we'll go.
like Charlie Brown tree.
We will go find out.
Sure, would we be interested in collecting a rock from here?
There, that thing.
It's a brittle star maybe on a. Yeah, basket star, brittle star,
Wow.
basket star.
Neat.
Looks like a possible Brazingid.
So I think we've exhausted this particular area, and I think we're good to rise back up and head over to GT1. Thank you for taking this pause with us over here.
Okay, roger that.
Brazingid? Brazingid.
Yeah.
Brazingid.
Star. There's a cool
Okay.
story about that. I'll tell you in flight.
Cool.
Ooh, okay. So Miles, what's the, when you have a second, what's the altitude that we're headed, or the depth of the next waypoint?
Stand by.
Okay.
That is definitely a
It's going to be 3010.
Is there anything pointier in between that we need to get above?
Yeah. Oh, actually, it's a drop and a cliff. A drop
Excellent.
and a rise.
Okay.
Some pretty rich life here. Have we seen
And we're going
corals?
west again?
Yes.
Look at that. We're set up to go west.
How did that happen?
Magic.
Amazing. Accident? Good piloting?
It's never only an accident if it's bad.
Oh, okay. Fair.
It's intentional and planned if it's good.
Yep.
Have we seen any deep water corals on any of the other features we've been on during this expedition?
I can't hear you.
Ah. How about now?
That's a little better.
Okay.
I think the first day, Samantha,
Okay.
when we were coming up the rise,
Yep.
similar type of rock jumble full of the pillow basalt, we saw some.
Yeah, because there's stocked crinoids, there's these persingid stars, there's corals. It's a lot richer than some of the more barren expanses we've transited across. When you get a feature like this, you got to climb up it to get the good currents.
What did you say that brittle star thing was called?
I think it's a Brisingid star, but I think it's on a different organism, a stalked organism. So I think it's climbed up it to get into the current. But the Brisingids are a really unusual type of deep sea star that were actually named after the
Video, can I get a zoom?
Norse goddess Brisinga, I believe.
Oh, it just sounds like an exotic dance.
Right?
Or something that's smoked in the south that I should eat.
I guess the Norse goddess was famous for having like a necklace that she threw into the sea, and so this was named after that myth.
Neat.
Kind of a cool story about it, but I think it is. It's really hard to tell. It looks like there's also maybe a basket star in there. There's something strange going on.
There's something else in
looks
there.
like
There's
more
a
than-
lot of these little tiny stars that are on the rock next to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Epheroids, yeah.
Excellent.
Just for clarification, waypoints, only waypoint 3 was added. None of the other waypoints were changed.
Affirmative.
Roger. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice video. Thank you. Okay, go wide.
Darlene, this is Shannon.
Off to
Go
the
for Shannon. Go for Darlene. Go for Shannon. I'm losing my mind.
Whoever I am, whoever you are, it's all good. Waypoint 4 has actually been shifted a little bit further south to make up for the time that this was going to take.
Waypoint
Waypoint 4,
4.
that is GT1.
Okay, got it. So GT1 has been, and that was reflected in the dive plan version 3? Or sorry, the most latest one we have?
Affirmative. You have the plan and the points. Frankly, if you get us within that general area, that's adequate. GT1 does not flag a specific feature of interest. It's generally just to get us to somewhere that will have a mostly uphill climb to the next suggested point.
Okay.
Sorry, Gabby, what you need?
Zoom.
Yes.
Okay, so the version 4 that's in the transfer folder is correct.
Affirmative.
Okay.
And she's saying it's a guideline.
Understood. Then I am ready, and we can proceed when
All right.
pilots
Okay.
are ready.
Go full wide video.
Coming wide.
Bye,
Call
crinoids.
on the ship move and we'll start up.
Yeah.
What's the height of the cliff? Approximately.
We got a crest 2890, and then we. Oh nope, it keeps going up. 2945, 2940, 2955. It's a general uphill.
Yeah, let me pull up. Is that survey?
And by uphill, I mean downhill. General downhill. Yeah.
Okay.
2870 is probably the shoal list, and then it drops off from there, and then there's a.
So we'll go
ridge.
up. Yeah, you can call in the ship move, and we'll go up.
A few meters, 20 meters, 30 meters.
I would do 50.
Okay.
You know, it's
We're keeping bottom contact.
not for this. This is blue water, I believe.
Shannon, can you confirm that this is blue water transit to GT1? Over.
Affirmative. Blue water transit to GT1.
Copy that.
Okay, coming up. Coming up to 2820. I've only got about 10 meters a minute, 11 meters a minute in my vertical speed. There we go. There's some vertical speed. 17.
So Sam, have you run out of any real or made up questions?
Oh, I was just updating some other pages, so I'm back to questions. Stand by shortly.
Who's shortly?
Just don't call me Shirley. Great one. The feature we were just exploring, would that be considered a seamount?
Maybe like a sea molehill.
Seamount has a very specific definition. I can't remember it, but it's like.
But it's very specific.
It's 1,500 or 2,000 meters. It's
I think you're right.
large.
Yeah. I agree with that. And we're going to use the power of the internet because we're all, I think, running a little low on sleep.
Can you remind me again, Miles, what our bearing is?
315.
All right, seamounts are, as we know, large underwater mountains, usually conical in shape and at least 1,000 meters above the ocean floor.
Okay.
Only 1,000. Huh.
They are often formed by volcanic activity as well, of course.
All right, Gab, we're moving along.
Roger.
We also have some folks writing in about the biology teaser trailer that just happened, since we just got a dose of corals and sea stars and brittle stars and things that we haven't really been seeing too much of.
And Bersingids.
And Bersingids, of course, yes. Which, by the way, the scientific name is Berzinga, which is, I think, the name of the Norse goddess. If you want to learn more about that story, by the way, check out the blog of Christopher Ma, who is a invertebrate zoologist at the Museum of Comparative Zoology at Harvard, who writes a really awesome blog called Echinoblog, so all about echinoderms. So you can get all your great stories about all the pokey tube feedy animals of the ocean.
The 5-parted ones, right?
The 5-parted ones: sea stars, sea cucumbers, sand dollars,
Urchins?
and urchins. Thank you. Whew. If you really want to do a fun activity, you can get you can cut out 2 pieces of paper or fabric in the shape of a star, and then staple the ends together. And you start with a starfish, sea star, and if you fold the arms in to the center,
You get an urchin.
you get an urchin, and if you compress it, you get a sand dollar.
Uh-huh.
And then if you pull out the ends, so the middle of the star on top and the middle of the star on bottom, and pull it out lengthwise, you get a sea cucumber.
Ah.
Really
cool.
fun teaching tool. Or cool origami, exactly. And it actually kind of lines up. As Gabby said, they're all 5-part animals with usually one
Oh, you've read Seabiscuit.
mouth hole. Yep. Seabiscuit? Yep. Not the book, but
Not the horse?
not the horse.
Okay. How's our... so we're tracking a line to get there?
Yep.
So one of the questions that came in was wondering...
As I get pushed up and back, do you want me to come down or do you want to come up?
Why don't you come down? Because I like having Doppler. That's nice.
Ooh, folks are wondering if we're headed back to the octopus garden that was we discovered at the end of last season in Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary, right at actually outside the mouth of Monterey Bay itself, at Davidson Seamount. And we actually are going back to that site later this year in October. First couple weeks of October, we'll be headed out to Cordell Bank National Marine Sanctuary and the Greater Farallones National Marine Sanctuary out past San Francisco, and then headed down to Monterey to wrap up the season.
Kind of.
But we've also been seeing the same octopus brooding eggs during this dive.
We did.
Was that this watch
Yeah.
or last week? A time that's not now.
It was this morning.
We saw one this morning.
Yeah.
But there were
No,
about
we
2
weren't.
dozen.
It wasn't our watch that saw the bunch of them.
Okay.
So saw which?
The octopus.
The brooding octopus with the eggs.
Oh, we saw a brooding
we saw
octopus.
one this
Yeah,
morning.
I
Yeah.
saw
This
2.
morning.
Oh, 2?
Two.
1, 2.
Dose.
Those octopodes.
But there's a great video on our website if you want to check that out, see what we're talking about. But this octopus, the Granulodone octopus, has a really unique brooding posture, kind of inverting itself completely out like a pineapple. I think that's actually what people informally call it, is the pineapple pose.
Wait, is that what pineapples do?
Oh, you know what? I am mixing up my cephalopod stories. Pineapple pose is what vampire squids do, and they invert themselves, and they've got all this the kind of hook-like
Spiky on the
tentacles,
outside.
like or not tentacles, they're cirri that shoot out kind of like pineapple. I think brooding posture is what the Granulodone are doing when they are brooding their eggs.
Like, pineapples, do they brood?
Do they pineapples brood their eggs? So Darlene, when you mentioned the fin whales, a couple of folks wrote in wondering if we have any fin whale sounds to invite the whales down.
Is the ship a sound? I don't know.
Good point. And does anyone know diving depth of fin whales? Could they come down to visit Hercules right now at, what depth are we at? 20 something?
28.
2,800 meters?
We are at 2821 meters. You know who knows? The Google knows.
Ah, yes, our unnamed watchstander. Incidentally, if you are curious about whose voices you're hearing in the control van or in the Inner Space Center, check out underneath the Nautilus Live video stream. You can see all our little bubbles and click into our profiles and get to know the team here and on shore. Ah. Looks like fin whales are relatively shallow, up to 500 meters. So they would probably not be visiting Hercules at the depths we're at currently, but we've certainly seen whales up close before on Nautilus, like in 2015 when a sperm whale, juvenile sperm whale, came right up to Hercules, did a little spin around while we were ascending. Is anyone in the van on that cruise? I don't think so.
When are we going to get our own app?
What do you mean?
Do we have a Nautilus Live app?
What would it do?
Stream Nautilus Live?
Yeah.
Add questions, pictures?
It's called nautiluslive.org. It's a mobile-friendly website that you can actually, oh, this is cool. You can add a link to it to your home screen, and it looks like a little app image.
Oh.
And then you click it, it goes to the website.
So, but when are we going to get an app?
There it is. You developing, Greg? All right, questions coming in. Do any of us have a favorite expedition? Which one is it and why? Of course, this one.
Of course, this one.
But we got folks who have been here many years in Nautilus Land. Any favorites or favorite sightings over the years?
I love the ones with the giant glass sponges.
Those are
things
cool.
are amazing.
Drive, Gabby, drive.
I'm driving.
What? No, you're not.
You're right, I'm not.
We need like ludicrous
Drive,
mode.
but like really do it.
Don't just like move the stick and have nothing happen.
Yeah. This is not pretend driving.
This is not driving for babies.
Favorite expedition? I don't know
On Nautilus, or
I think it's on Nautilus. Yeah, it's kind of the understood in the question that usually they don't
Who's
have
this
to
guy?
mention.
Did he just show up?
I've been self-occupying over here.
I don't know. That's a hard one. I don't know the names of any of the expeditions that I've been on.
Place, topic. Feelings.
B, they all kind of meld together.
I mean, Olympic Coast National Marine Sanctuary was cool, but not really for what we were doing. I mean, that is always cool, but there were, everywhere you looked from a deck, there were breaching whales.
That's
Oh,
true.
wow.
Yep.
That's neat.
And multiple breaching whales.
It was also cool when we returned to the sanctuary last year to look for fragments of a meteorite.
That was pretty cool.
We still have
was.
the magnets downstairs.
Yep. So one of the fragments that was picked up during that expedition over, like, I think it was a 3-day cruise, really, really short. One of them did turn out to be probably a meteorite fragment, and that helped that team end up actually there right now on Falkor, I think, in Olympic Coast National Marine Sanctuary, doing the same, or surveying the same area, looking for more meteorite fragments. So that's another great live stream to check out. We have multiple monitors playing all the deep sea exploration at once.
Favorite expedition? I don't know that I could pick a favorite. I've got you know, like, I have a favorite shipwreck. I have
You
a
can start there.
favorite unique underwater feature.
Also, you can start there.
So
He's just going to keep us in
I
suspense.
got ones for both of those. They're probably
Okay.
the same.
I wasn't on any of the shipwrecks on this coast.
Me either.
Oh, okay. It might be might be the same.
Do you want to say them out loud?
No, was it fun?
Write in your guesses for Greg's favorite shipwreck now.
It wasn't Synop D, because you were post Synop D. That was 2007. That's
Yep.
my favorite shipwreck, for sure.
I liked, actually, one of my favorite shipwrecks was in the Black Sea. And it was one that we went back to after a lot of paperwork, only to find out, unfortunately, that it had been trawled. I know that there was a question earlier about, do we notice anything about fishing, or deep sea fishing or overfishing? And so, yeah, the wreck had been trawled, and so the artifact that we were going for was no longer available. Could not be located. But you could see the work, you know, like the tool markings on the wood, which was really neat, and the amphora and other such things. I know that the shipwreck in the Gulf of Mexico is really cool, but I was not on this boat. I went to that on another boat.
That's what mine was. It was the
copper plated.
No, the Gulf oil that was sunk by the U-boat, which was also sunk, and they were about a mile apart from each other.
Yeah.
And then natural feature would either brine pool or those brine waterfalls.
Yeah, the brine is always really unique. There was a vent in the center of Colombo crater, and Colombo is a submarine volcano near Santorini in the Med.
Chewbacca?
I was thinking about Poet's Candle, and
Are these actual sites, or are you just making words up?
These are actual places.
yeah, and the champagne vents. It was a
I
they were
believe
shallow enough that it was bubbling.
Poet's Candle and Chewbacca refer to the same place.
They do. Poet's Candle is a little bit more poetic. Chewbacca is a little bit more accurate, I think.
I believe Chewbacca was Chris Romans and Poet's Candle was Eric Martin's.
Yes.
Is how that went?
These sites were what kind of features?
So there was some venting activity in the crater of Colombo, and one of them was just all these little bubbles coming from all these little chimneys, like all at the same time. And it really did kind of look like just a large, you know, like all the bubbles in your champagne glass, just like constantly bubbling up. And then there was, I don't know, probably a 4 or 5 meter tall feature that looked like a, candle that had just burned down, and so it was just this melted, like, wax looking kind of pile. That was another vent. That was Poet's Candle, also known as Chewbacca, for short.
Were there any sounds recorded at that site?
Not exactly. But we did, we were super zoomed in on a particular vent that had a bacteria that had grown almost in a sheath around the vent. And so it was a tube that would just kind of like fall flat, and then the bubble would force its way out. And one of the pilots made a kind of like a bubble, a bloop noise every time as we were zoomed in. And science got really excited about the audio recording features. We had to inform them that that was
Human-based?
Yeah, man-made.
Yep. Data logger Ashley has been on other cruises as well. Any favorite sightings?
Yeah. So I was on a sailing vessel from New Zealand to Tahiti, and we saw these giant, they're called pyrosomes. They're these giant colonial organisms. So they're made up of a bunch of smaller organisms, but they're all kind of lumped together, and they bioluminesce. So you would just see in the middle of the night when waves were really rough, these like giant blue glowing balls just kind of floating by the ship, and that was always really neat to see.
So we actually have had pyrosomes on the west coast here the last couple of years. Yeah, we've had these very strange blooms. They're obviously they're tropical species. They're not supposed to be here. And last year or the year before, I think actually both years, we've had big blooms all the way up along the coast, along Oregon and Washington, so dense that when like fishing boats will go out, their nets will actually break under the weight of all the pyrosome mass that's coming up.
Oh, wow.
And they're small. They're like pickle size, 6 inches or so. And so they're smaller than the, giant ones that you see in tropical waters. But, yeah, kind of unusual. You'll see them washed up on the beach, too. So, Ashley, the ones you saw, were those, like, what was the kind of scale?
They were probably, like, usually around, like, basketball size, maybe slightly bigger, maybe slightly smaller. But
okay. Wow.
That reminds me of the expedition that we did with the low light camera, going for the bioluminescence. That was fun, and I think that was it the same year that we got the Deep Staria Enigmatica.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're piloting along in blue water, and as you do, and we see what really just looks like a trash bag kind of floating off in the distance, and there's a debate of do we avoid it, or do we, because we don't want to suck it into a thruster, or do we go and check it out? And we went and checked it out, and it turned out that it was not a trash bag, but it was a Deep Staria Enigmatica, and Sam will tell you more about those.
Thanks, Greg. It's a, oh gosh, I wasn't ready for this. Hydromedusa, I think. Big bag-like jelly that when we saw it, it was getting kind of buffeted around by the currents produced by Hercules. So it was actually looked like it was, when we saw it first, it was kind of inflated out and then rippled in the current. But when we took a zoom on it, it had this incredible geometric mesh pattern all over the surface. That's actually
made the cover.
Sorry?
Made the cover.
Oh, right. Made the cover of the Oceanography supplement magazine. But all those geometric mesh are actually how the jelly gets nutrients. So it's sort of like, my mind's blanking right now, but gut canals for it. Doesn't really have a gut. So just nutrient transfer system, and then also kind of a nerve network. So really unusual jelly. All these highlights, by the way, that we've been mentioning are all on Nautilus Live. If you hit the photos and videos tab, or check out the expedition and actually look regionally where we've been since 2012.
You got a ridge coming up. It's still way below you, but it's about 2945, 2950.
So Darlene, or if anyone else has joined you in the back row, favorite sightings over any expeditions you've been on at sea?
So I'm kind of a noob. I've only been on 2 cruises.
But lots of land expeditions too.
Lots of land,
We'll take
yes.
a land sighting.
Yeah, and lakes. Spent a lot of time
Yep.
on lakes. But let me see. Last 2. I mean, again, like, I love the vents. They're so cool. And, okay, so I just sitting on the boat last year out in, during the Loihi cruise, I was sitting with Zara Mermelek, who's our ethnographer, on the top deck, and we were just going over some data and talking, and then out of the beautiful crystal blue waters came what appeared to be like a juvenile whale shark, and it came to the surface, or its back broke the surface, and it just suddenly appeared like that, and it was remarkable. And I managed to get a photo, which was like, holy cow, I can't believe I got a photo. But that was really special. And Zara's going to kill me for saying this, but it was pretty funny to watch her freak out. Because she's very stoic, and then that happened, and it was very, very affecting to see this beautiful creature come out of the blue.
So are you calling whales to the ship then, Darlene? Because both cruises that you've been on.
I know. Today was so amazing. Well, and then we had those 2 hammerheads last year. I mean, everything, every moment. And yesterday was like the whitesides, right? The Pacific whiteside, the dolphins. So it's just nonstop. And I love the way the ocean changes color. It's like it has moods, you know, different shades of blue. You can't replicate it like a paint shop, or just barely. But it's remarkable. I just wasn't expecting to see all these shades of blue. I've read about it many times, heard about it, but I've been overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think one of the pastimes of in our pockets of free time is just to sit and watch the waves sometimes.
So I'm looking at giant pyrosomes right now while we transit blue water.
The
I'm
human-sized
obsessed.
ones? Yeah.
Good Lord. That's crazy.
They definitely range in scope.
I was saying to Ashley, they look like the abyss creature.
Yep.
If we do open up the discussion to non-Nautilus
I was going to say, you're up next, Wayne.
I had a pretty spectacular encounter in Indonesia with whale sharks as well.
Do tell.
So I was I was on board Muriat Medus, and we were just in the area investigating places that might be interesting to dive, and some locals encouraged us to track down these local fishermen who had something interesting to show us, and we didn't know what it was. There was a bit of a language barrier, so we followed them, and the fishermen, sometimes when they catch the fish, they just stop in the water and leave a partial catch in the net. And as it turns out, these 8 juvenile whale sharks would be attracted to them, and they would suckle on the fish in the net. They wouldn't tear the net up, or they wouldn't eat the fish. They would just kind of, and the fishermen would throw a few fish over the side and to keep them around. But they had been doing this for a while, so they kind of became like pets to these fishermen. So we got to spend 6 hours snorkeling with 8 juvenile whale sharks.
Oh my God.
And you got to learn the individuals' personalities of the fish. Some of them were more tolerant to being close and touching, and some of them were more skittish. But you spent so much time in the water with them that it was like learning the animals, kind of like when you meet a dog. You know, you don't know if a dog's going to be aggressive or docile, and some dogs are going to have different personalities. But we spent enough time in the water with these animals that you learned which ones were more friendly. And the friendliest one, when you would snorkel, if you floated on your back and you splashed your hands on the surface of the water, the whale shark would think the bubbles were fish, so he would swim up to you, put his chin up against your chest, and push you through the water as you watch the bubbles enter its mouth and go out its gills. It was pretty spectacular.
That sounds like an epic 8 hours.
It was it was pretty cool. It was we couldn't even talk to one another when we got out the water. We would just smile and giggle, like I can't believe we get to do this. We all recognized it as a very unique opportunity and experience. If I remember correctly, it was on our captain's birthday, and we were celebrating his birthday. So
That's so special.
it was very special.
Samantha, I think you should poll like all of the people that have been on Nautilus over time and ask them for this and aggregate it in somewhere, you know, in some archive, because I'm going to forget. I'm sure. And you try and be super present in every moment in these very, you know, amazing work opportunities, but it's hard. And I find that sometimes I forget, then I'll come across something in some archive that I have somewhere as I'm cleaning out my office and think, oh my gosh, I forgot about this event.
The great news is there is an archive. It's called nautiluslive.org. And there are highlights all over the page.
That's true. But we don't have Wayne's story with.
No,
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's one of the big challenges of trying to capture all the stories that come out over 6 months of an expedition season. You know, there are some ships that, you know, run very discrete expeditions with a couple of weeks in between to demobilize and, you know, start up again. And we're running nonstop from May to October, back-to-back expeditions. So it's definitely a big challenge.
Yeah.
Since one of our pillars is education and outreach, to capture those stories and then also have different storytellers, you know, helping to get these different discoveries and science and engineering teams and
well, and you keep metrics too. You guys set the bar really high. I mean, it's super impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So, you know, we bring out the science communication fellows, who are formal and informal educators from across North America, out to kind of help us facilitate these conversations and try to capture as much as we can during a cruise. They're not only connecting with classrooms, museums, aquariums, science centers around the world through ship-to-shore broadcasts, but they're also helping us develop content for the Nautilus Live website. So photo albums, and then we have a small production team on shore who's cutting highlight clips, which hopefully we'll have some on the website soon. But yeah, it's a big challenge to try to capture everything that happens. So we really rely on the folks who come out, like the subsea team, who, you know, you're all taking photos, you're sharing your experiences on Twitter or on your own social platforms. So trying to aggregate it, though, is definitely a big challenge.
Okay, so seriously, Ashley and I have been obsessing still
Pyrosomes.
over these
I know.
pyrosomes.
I know. The like human-sized ones that you could swim into.
Okay, but we
terrifying.
found this article in the Atlantic, and they call them the Borg of the sea.
Yeah.
And there is a quote from a marine biologist, Rebecca Helm, that says, if the Borg and the Clone Wars had a baby, it would be a pyrosome. This is hilarious.
Yep, I can see that. There is a video on Nautilus Live of I think we called it a pyrosome, like snowstorm that we went through on a descent a couple years ago, and it really does look like we're falling through a snowstorm of pyrosomes. Looks like it's dinner time, so you'll start hearing some voices pop off and new voices come on for the dinner watch relief. Do keep sending your questions in. Looks like we've got folks from all around the world tuning in right now. School group in Australia tuning in. We've got folks in Finland, Brazil, Canada, Netherlands, Japan, France, Denmark, all over the world tuning in. Sweden.
Hi, world.
Hi, world. Thanks for joining us. UK. We're here off the coast of the border of California and Oregon. And we're in the middle of our 5th ROV dive for the subsea expedition. And are we, where are we? How far are we to our waypoint? Oh, Nav's nabbing.
Miles?
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Nav's nabbing. Just curious how far we've got to go.
Waiting on Argus. Should be about 80 meters.
Thank you.
And that correlates to how much time?
Well, swing out is probably another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we got to descend 150 meters.
What? What?
All right. Thanks, Nav. Nav on.
Thanks, Nav.
Is there a Nav sign?
Well, in sign language, this is N.
There you go.
I don't know what
We're going to
that
be more
is.
of like the director arm, like, that way, onwards.
Just call the
On
bridge,
tap.
say it this way.
Just point.
Onward till dawn.
Why are you not going in the direction I want you to go?
I'm pointing. Hello. If all bridge nav comms were just not that way. No, this way. That's it.
Go right.
A little to
go
the left.
Yeah.
Little to the left. Too far. Too far.
I overshot it. Come back.
Now I'm just thinking of helping someone parallel park. You're good. You're good. You're good. Stop.
Too far.
Luckily, Herc's on a track, so there's no parallel parking once back on board.
Oh my god, that'd be terrible.
I thought
You're
you meant
good.
in the water.
Into
I
the
was
into
like,
the ROV hangar. You're good. You're good. You're good. You got a bumper coming up.
See that thing you hit? Yeah, don't hit that.
Oh, we've got new people. Hi, new people.
Hi, new people.
We were talking about favorite sightings on expeditions, and we were aiming for on Nautilus expeditions, but other ship expeditions are fine too.
I have one. I have a story. I was out on the RV Pelican in the Gulf of Mexico. We were transiting to some, waypoint, and while the ship was moving, we were out on the bow. And if you look over the bow, you could see dolphins riding the waves that the bow was creating. And there were like 4 or 5 dolphins just hanging out with us.
That's
That was really cool.
Awesome.
I think dolphins might have been my favorite on a Nautilus.
Aha, there you go.
I was not watching the dive. This was out on deck, and they were riding alongside the ship. And I got some really good footage of them just cruising, jumping out of the water, keeping up with the ship. It was awesome.
Nice.
And whatever those things that we just saw like 20 minutes ago, those curly Q starfish looking thingies.
Brazingits.
Brazingits.
Yeah.
Brazingits.
Gabby said it earlier. I thought she said bazinga.
Bazinga.
Also
Bazinga.
true. Bazinga. Yeah, definitely look up the story behind those. It's really cool.
Would you mind
etymology.
giving us an abridged version?
Sure. There's a really cool blog called Echinoblog that is run by Christopher Ma at the Harvard Museum of Comparative Zoology, all about inverts, echinoderms specifically. So he has some really cool blogs about where species names come from. So Brazingid is from the name Brazinga, which was a Norse goddess who had, I think it's a necklace, like a really gorgeous necklace that she threw into the sea or someone threw into the sea. So it was named for this star, which tends to be really ornate and comes in some pretty amazing jewel tone colors.
Yeah, they